You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have success.
Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Hello?
We've confirmed a quorum. My name is Destiny Burns, Vice President and Executive Director of Community Relations and designee for the NYEZC Chair, Hope Knight, President and CEO of Empire State Development. I will now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation for today, Thursday, August 25th, 2022. I will ask that everyone please mute their phone until you're ready to speak. Also, for the record, I will ask that anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin speaking. I'd like to note for the record that due to public health concerns and as authorized by an executive order of the governor, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I will also note for the record that the public has been given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments at or before 5 p.m. yesterday to nyezc@esc.ny.gov. I'd like to further note for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect of any agenda items. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote regarding such an item. Hearing none, we will note it for the record. I would also like to take a quick moment to welcome Kelly Gu, the designee for the city representing Deputy Mayor Torres Springer, and Romina Anea, representing Congressman Richie Torres. This time, I will now entertain a motion for approval of the minutes from the July 15th, 2021 meeting.
This is Luis Miranda, so move.
Second?
Blair Duncan from UMass, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. The First item on the agenda will be the administrative budget for the Bronx Empowerment Zone, and will be presented by Duncan Still.
Just want to check you don't have to appoint Raphael first.
Sorry, what did you say?
I just want to make sure.
I don't think that there's,
A requirement?
there's a requirement for an
Okay.
official appointment, since it's an ex officio position.
Okay, no problem.
Richard Dorado, our attorney, is on the line. Can you confirm that?
I confirm that, yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Duncan Still. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. I'm here to present the annual operating and administrative budget for the financial year ending June 30th, 2023. Budget calls for a total spend of $890,564. This is 15.68% higher than the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. Personnel costs are $629,549 as compared with $608,848 for the previous year's budget. This is a result of a cost of living increase of 3.4%. The audit fee remains flat at $37,775. Professional and consultants increased by $100,000 due to the engagement of a consultant. Legal fees remain flat at $35,000. We expect the vast majority of this amount will not be used, as we do not expect any litigation. Other operating costs remain flat at $79,240. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Duncan. I'd like to remind everyone at this time to mute your phones if you're not speaking and state your names before you speak. As noted earlier, we don't have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I'll now entertain a motion for approval. I'll now entertain a motion for approval
Luis Miranda, so move.
from either a Bronx or city director, please.
Right, that's what I was waiting for, so.
Kelly or Inea?
Kelly, good motion to approve or approve.
Second? From Bronx director?
This is Romina, I approve.
Thank you. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you, everyone. The motion carries. The next item up for consideration will be the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation Administrative Budget. Orha Ocampo will present.
The directors are requested to approve the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation's administrative budget of $690,660 for fiscal year 2023. The request represents an increase of $34,391 from fiscal year 2021. The NYEZC budget is a portion of salaries for the state and city staff assigned by ESD and the deputy mayor to work on the program. Essential non-personal items related to the financial auditing and operational costs of the NYEZC are also covered. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Orha, are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? Again, we didn't get any comments from the public. I'll now entertain a motion of approval. Anyone?
From any director?
So moved, Blair Duncan, UMEZ.
Second?
Second, Luis Miranda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. The motion carries. The next item up for consideration, well, the rest of the items will be from the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. The first one is for the Business Resource Investment Service Center, and will be presented by Gina Bolden Rivera.
Thank you. This is Gina Bolden Rivera. This proposal is a request for funding to replenish the Business Resource and Investment Center BRISC small business loan pool in the amount of $1 million at a 0% interest rate for a term of 6 years. The purpose of this loan is to fund small business term loans and lines of credit. BRISC currently has 2 loan facilities with UMEZ in the total amount of $3 million, with a combined outstanding balance of $2,250,000. The $3 million includes a loan facility in the amount of $1,500,000 for BRISC term loans and lines of credit, which has been fully drawn down, and a second facility of $1,500,000, which is a special restricted fund created during the pandemic. The fund is restricted for a hybrid microloan program to provide low-interest term loans with a forgivable portion of up to 25% to the small businesses in the area. BRISC currently has $72,824 of uncommitted loan capital remaining from the first facility for the term loans and lines of credit. The current pipeline for term loans is $300,000. BRISC also has $1,258,100 remaining of the restricted hybrid microloan program capital. The current pipeline for this fund includes $100,000 of microloans scheduled to close this month. This request is to replenish funding for term loans. The administration of the $1 million will continue to be in accordance with the guidelines and procedures agreed to for all of the other loan facilities provided by UMEZ to BRISC. UMEZ recommends this proposal for your approval.
Thank you, Gina. I do have one quick question.
Okay.
Regarding the BRISC loan fund. And what are the requirements for the 25% forgiveness on the loan?
They must maintain the loans for the full term, which is 60 months. In addition to that, which means there's no prepayment, which is in addition to that, they must meet the satisfaction of timely payments and any other administration that's required. And at the conclusion of the 48th month, and they must remain in business. That's the third thing. At the conclusion of the 48 month, the 25% will be forgiven. So it's a 5-year loan. If they are in accordance for the first 48 months, up to 25%, all 25% will be forgiven.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item?
I would just like to say that this is a product that we created. The microloan that you made reference to is a product we created for the pandemic to assist small businesses, to give them flexibility to restart their businesses and have relief in the sense of the debt forgiveness of 25%. That's just separate from the request that's on the table now to replenish the loan pool for the normal UMEZ term loans and lines of credit.
Thanks for that clarification. Any other comments or questions? As noted earlier, we don't have any comments from the public in regard to this item. I'll now entertain a motion for approval.
Luis Miranda, so move.
Second.
Blair Duncan, second.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. The motion carries. The next item is the ratification of the UMEZ Director's approval of the Cultural Aid Fund 3.
Destiny, do you want, I'm sorry, this is Blair, do you want to have a vote? I know we had a first and a second motion. I don't know if we voted on the last item for Brisk.
I mean, we can go back to it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so thank you. The motion carries. Thank you for that. And now we'll just move on to the next item, which is the ratification of the UMEZ Director's approval of the Cultural Aid Fund 3. And it will be presented by Nicole Reiner. Nicole, you can begin when you are ready.
Thank you. This is Nikki Reiner, and I'm here to present the next 3 UMEZ items. First is a proposal to continue with the Cultural Aid Fund initiative for a 3rd year, beginning July 1 and ending June 30, 2023, which you'll find on page 30 in your packet. Although COVID-19 restrictions have begun to ease, their impact on the cultural community persists, limiting both attendance and earned income for the foreseeable future. This Cultural Aid Fund 3 request is for an amount of up to $631,000 for 24 cultural organizations who are not receiving other UMEZ support in fiscal 23. We have modified this initiative each year with 2 priorities in mind: to appropriately broaden UMEZ's reach throughout the zone-wide cultural community to include eligible organizations who are actively engaged with UMEZ but are not yet grantees, and to focus our efforts where it will have the greatest impact. Thus, out of the 24 organizations, 4 were new first-time grantees to UMEZ last year, and 1 organization, the People's Theater Project, would be a new addition to the Cultural Aid Fund this year, but they are previous recipients of a UMEZ Arts Engagement Grant, where their budget has now outgrown the allowable budget size for that re-grant program. Further, we have taken a slightly different approach to the issue of impact this year, using a 2-tier allocation policy to focus our effort where it will have the greatest impact. Specifically, of the 24 organizations, the 6 with operating budgets of $2.5 million or above would each receive a grant of $10,000, expending less than 10% of the initiative funds. The remaining 18 organizations with budgets below $2.5 million would receive grants between $10,000 and $50,000 using a curve that would provide proportionately larger grants to the smaller organizations. The average grant size would be around $32,000, similar to years 1 and 2. As before, grant funds would be used for core administrative expenses, including staff, to ensure that organizations are able to sustain their operations through fiscal 23 as environmental conditions evolve. Throughout the grant period, the UMEZ Cultural Investment staff would continue to gather information on the impact of the pandemic on the cultural community to inform our discussion of future funding strategies. UMEZ recommends this proposal for your approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nicole. I just have one question about the grantees for the program, since this is the 3rd iteration of it. Is it the same pool of grantees as the first program, or like what, or are there just new grantees? How is that set up?
It is largely the same pool. This year, we are proposing to add 1 new organization, the People's Theater Project, who are not new to UMEZ, but they would be new to direct funding from UMEZ as their previous grant was through the Arts Engagement Re-Grant Program.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from directors with regard to this item?
This is Blair Duncan. You know, we're pleased that we're able to continue to support the arts organizations in Upper Manhattan. They are significant employers in Upper Manhattan, and this is a way to really achieve our objective of you know, job creation or maintaining job employment in the empowerment zone. And in addition, these cultural organizations really bring their artistic presentation skills to the community during an important time where we are hoping to have more live performances and presentations in Upper Manhattan.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions in regard to this item? Again, we didn't have any comments from the public. I'll now entertain a motion to ratify this item.
Luis Miranda, so moved.
Blair
Second.
Duncan, second.
All in favor?
Aye. Blair.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. And Nicole, your next item, when you're ready.
Thank you. This is Nikki Reiner from UMEZ. On page 42, you will find a proposal to fund the UMEZ Arts Engagement Initiative for the calendar year 2023 with a grant of $354,000 to the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, who administers this re-grant program on our behalf. This will be the sixth year for the program, which was created in 2018 to reach small organizations and artists who did not qualify for UMEZ's major categories of support. The goal of the strategy was to enhance the diversity and frequency of cultural activity in Upper Manhattan by providing flexible support for artists and groups to create their art and develop audiences for their work. To date, we have awarded $1.7 million through 256 grants to 142 unique grant recipients. Using the 4 years of grantee reports through 2021, we can see the macro impact this program is having. UMEZ support for these grants total just over $1.2 million, and in turn, these grants leveraged an additional $2.2 million, which brings total expenditures to over $3.4 million, of which $2.3 million was paid to artists and other project personnel. Over 345 people attended well over 200 events. To place this in an even larger context, LMCC awards $1.5 million throughout Manhattan every year using re-grant funds from the city and state arts agencies, as well as UMEZ. More than half of those grants are going to artists and organizations in Upper Manhattan. So bravo. We also note that 72% of LMCC's Upper Manhattan applicants applied for both UMEZ Arts Engagement support and LMCC support last year. And thus, our cultural community is also securing additional support for their projects through LMCC's government re-grant funds. LMCC has continued to take a rigorous approach to outreach with a particular emphasis on Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and immigrant artist communities. Roughly half of UMEZ Arts Engagement applicants identify as members of these communities or multiracial. The growth in our pool of applicants reflects the success of these efforts. Beginning with 51 eligible applicants back in 2018, we have seen an average of 40 new eligible applicants every year. This proposal is again for 1 year, which will allow UMEZ to examine the impact of the pandemic on our grant budget. Further, it will allow the Cultural Investment Fund Committee to examine the full range of our grant programs and adjust our investment strategy to reflect the new realities shaping the cultural industry. The Cultural Investment Fund Committee will continue to provide formal approval for the proposed grants, which are recommended by the jury panels each year, and will formally approve proposed members of the jury pool who must live and or work in Upper Manhattan. The Cultural Investment Fund staff works very closely with LMCC and will continue to monitor and evaluate this initiative throughout the course of the grant. UMEZ recommends this proposal for your approval, and I invite your comments and questions.
Thanks again, Nicole. I really think this program is great. I wanted to ask a question based on what you said. I don't know if this was the intent of the program, but do you guys see this program as a pipeline for UMEZ's cultural capacity building efforts? And I know that earlier, in the last initiative, you added an organization that you were introduced to through this program. Is that something that you think you'll see moving forward?
That's a great question. That is something we would love to see moving forward. Earlier in the year, we conducted a financial analysis of our UMEZ Arts Engagement grantees, and determined that the People's Theater Project was really in the best position to quote unquote graduate. But we are definitely looking at all of our arts engagement applicants with an eye toward eventually cultivating their increased capacity. Although I will note that the analysis found that most of them have budgets that are really quite impressively small still. So that may be a little further into the horizon.
Thank you, Nikki. And I'll just add to that you know, we do see this, you know, as kind of a seed funding program to see how we can graduate organizations up to other funding opportunities for UMEZ. One of the other organizations that we were able to identify, it was the Harlem Chamber Players, which we provided a catalyst grant for a performance of the Ordering of Moses at the Cathedral of St. John Divine, a composition written by Nathaniel Dett. So they also emerged from the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council partnership that we have. So we do see this as an opportunity to reach a broader and more nascent cultural community, and hopefully have an opportunity to move them through the UMEZ funding cycles.
That sounds great. Keep us posted on how that progresses. I think you have, are there any additional comments or questions on this item?
Nope.
We don't have any comments or questions from the public. I'll now entertain a motion for approval.
So move, Luis Miranda.
Second?
Second, Blair Duncan.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Nicole, your next item or your last item?
Thank you. On page 65, you will find a request from the Maysles Institute, known as Maysles Documentary Center, for a 3-year capacity building grant of up to $194,710. Maysles first came to UMEZ in the spring of 2017 to request a technical assistance grant for a strategic business plan to professionalize their operations. The founder, the renowned documentarian Albert Maysles, had passed away in 2015, and the board was seeking professional guidance to make the transition from a founder-driven organization to a self-sustaining one. Maysles then turned to UMEZ in 2019 for a capacity grant to bring on a development manager and fund other elements of the plan. The Cultural Investment Fund Committee was in the process of reviewing this proposal when the pandemic-driven shutdown took place, and this request was put on pause. Since then, Maysles has accomplished many of the elements in the strategic plan, as noted in the memorandum. Maysles modified its request for the new development manager position, as well as a marketing consultant and supporting materials. These two positions will take advantage of the newly created earned and contributed income structures to generate increased revenues in the coming years. UMEZ recommends this proposal for your approval, and I invite your comments and questions.
Are there any questions or comments from the directors in regard to this item? No comments from the public either. I'll now entertain a motion for approval.
Luis Miranda moves.
Second?
Blair Duncan, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. And before I move on to the next item, I wanted to note for the record that the board materials will be updated for the Cultural Aid Fund 3 to reflect ratification of that item. And now on to the next item is a grant for Perscolas to be presented by Yashanya Hill. You can begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Destiny. Good afternoon, Board of Directors and all present. I am Yashanya Hill, the Senior Vice President of Workforce Opportunity Investments at UMEZ. And on behalf of UMEZ, I will present the proposal for a pilot technology sector employment initiative, which I will refer to as the TSEI. As part of an economic mobility strategy, we are advancing our workforce investments towards the creation of inclusive and locally tailored place-based interventions that address the preparedness of local residents to gain access to the skills that are needed for quality jobs, career pathways, and thriving wages in a climate of economic transition. And as you know, the tech sector in many ways is leading the city's economic recovery and producing a large share of well-paying jobs. However, many underserved job seekers lack the skills training and work supports that are needed to enter the growing number of middle skill level positions, offering quality wages that are accessible without a college degree. To this end, UMEZ proposes to fund a one-year pilot, TSEI, designed to propel a minimum of 65 unemployed and underemployed Upper Manhattan residents towards tech skills training, professional development, meaningful employer connections, and thriving wage careers in the tech sector. Under this initiative, UMEZ will provide Perscolis, a nationally recognized workforce training provider offering pathways to technology careers for individuals traditionally underrepresented in the tech workforce, a grant in the amount of $200,000 to partner with UMEZ and spearhead this initiative. The TSEI will promote diversity, equity, and inclusion and enhance community resilience in Upper Manhattan by building the capacity of community-based workforce organizations to support local talent pipeline development, creating opportunities and access points for local residents throughout all neighborhoods of our catchment area who aspire to work in tech. With that being said, this initiative will support a community partner tech fund of $25,000 that will incorporate a culturally sensitive and community-focused agenda to cultivate up to 5 community-based organizations to build a learning community to better understand the tech sector and the process of building a homegrown tech talent pipeline. Community learners will have the opportunity to enroll in one of 4 training tracks that are deemed most appropriate, including IT support, cybersecurity, cloud fundamentals, and software engineering. Free training courses are coupled with industry certifications, professional soft skills development, and case management supportive services, financial coaching, and counseling. On behalf of UMEZ, we are requesting the board's support of this initiative. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to address any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Yashanya. This program sounds great. I wanted to know how UMEZ, or has it already been done, how UMEZ will identify participants in the program. Is there already a pipeline,
Sure.
or will they be marketing?
There is not currently a pipeline. With your support, we will engage in a 3-month community engagement process that will incorporate really looking closely at organizations within each catchment area and identifying those that have the interest and capacity to engage in this initiative with us. There will be a communication strategy and a marketing strategy. We're already in discussions with the development of that to make sure that marketing is unique to each neighborhood within our catchment area. And so the local organizations that will work together to support this initiative will be equipped with technical assistance so that they will learn how to engage and how to recruit for the specific courses.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing more about this as it progresses as well. Did any other directors have any questions or comments on this item?
This is Blair Duncan. I'm very pleased about this program. It is one where, as Shashanya mentioned, you don't have to have a college degree to have a well-paying position. We've read a lot about, cyber professionals and the dearth of unfilled positions there are in, national publications like the Wall Street Journal. And I am glad that we were working on this early on to be able to get it approved by our board in June before a lot of attention was focused on this. So, I think it's timely, it's important, it's going to create opportunities for residents, and we are really trying to meet many of our residents where they are, including those who may not have completed a college degree. So I'm excited to see how this program unfolds and helps create job opportunities for local residents.
Agreed. And what's the footprint? Are you just Upper Manhattan residents, or how far out would people?
Just Upper Manhattan. So that's community boards 12, 11, 10, and 9.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this item? I'll now entertain a motion for approval.
So move, Luis Miranda.
Second?
Second, Blair Duncan.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you again. The motion carries. The final item on the agenda today is the UMEZ administrative budget, which will be presented by Tunde Aniende. Please again when you're ready. I'm not sure if you're muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I did not unmute the button. My name is Olatunde Onidi. I'm the new CFO at UMEZ, and it is my duty to present to you the combined UMEZ and BRIS consolidated budget for FY 22-23. I will start with the revenues, and for FY 22-23, we anticipate recognizing $6,893,281 in support and revenue on our budget. $5 million of that is coming from the NYEZC grant for the NUL League loan. We look forward to get $1,759,994 in combined interest, the interest on the loans that is out there and interest on our bank statement. And the other revenue are mainly two small grants. From one of them is from Gilmore Foundation for $50,000, and we have another $58,000 grant coming from the Empire State Development Corporation. On the revenue side, we have our budget as $4,446,713, which is an increase of $296,371,000 compared with the budget of FY 22. And the increase is mainly due to the total personnel cost budgeted at $3,305,062, an increase of $167,000, which is 5.3%. This change is largely due to the COLA offset against on inflation. We have another $81,000 increase in the internet and access and data backup, budgeted at $81,000, which is a $31,000 increase from the previous year. And this is because of the IT position at UMEZ was eliminated, and as such, we have need for outside consulting services. And then we have another increase on the marketing cost of $100,000, which is to facilitate the visibility of our new project, i.e. the pre-development loan, the line of credit, and micro loans. The marketing loan previously was funded from the loan repayment in the prior years, and this year, because there will be no more reimbursement from zone funds, we have to put it on the administrative budget. That is the highlight of our budget, and you must recommend that you approve our budget. And I'm here to answer whatever questions that we have.
Any questions or comments from the directors with regard to that item? Thank you for your presentation, Tunde. As noted earlier, we don't have any comments from the public. I'll now entertain a motion for approval of the UMEZ administrative budget.
Luis Miranda, so moved.
Second?
Blair Duncan, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No response. Thank you. That motion carries. Is there any other business?
Yes, this is Blair Duncan. I would like to have the minutes reflect a matter relating to the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation commitments under the Memorandum of Understanding. In 1996, each of the federal, state, and city governments committed $100 million, a total of $300 million, to the New York City Empowerment Zone pursuant to a Memorandum of Understanding. The Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone's proportionate share of the funding for the New York City Empowerment Zone was $244,020,000. From 1996 through the last fiscal year, UMEZ has received funding from the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation, which administered the funding for the program. Disbursements from the NYEZC to UMEZ have been applied towards the UMEZ allocation under the Memorandum of Understanding. Based on the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation disbursements to UMEZ, the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation has satisfied its funding obligations to UMEZ in the amount of $244,020,000. The purpose of this statement is to acknowledge that funding from the New York Empowerment Zone to UMEZ has been fulfilled, and reconciliation between the New York Empowerment Zone and UMEZ is complete. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions, and would just say we're delighted that over this period of time we've been able to work closely with the NYEZ to make sure that the funds were dispersed in a manner that is consistent with the UMEZ strategic plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. That significant milestone is reflected in the New York Empowerment Zone and ESD financial records, and also noted for the record here. Any additional business? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Luis Miranda.
Thank you. This meeting of the New York Empowerment Zone is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye now.